Hi everybody, I am Kenya and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I have a video that's gonna be sort of it's a light rant. And I'm going to be addressing the mayor of New York's statements, Mayor Eric Adams. So I was online checking up with the current events and I came across this article. It's on Spectrum News, New York 1. And it was published on March 29th at 2:50 p.m. by Maya Rajamani. So you know that there's been this push for remote workers to go back to work, right? And so Mayor Adams had a lot to say about this. So I'm going to be reading verbatim from my computer what he had to say, and I'm gonna add my commentary as well, and I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments as well. All right, so Mayor Adams on Tuesday renewed his call for an end to working from home policies, arguing remote work was partly to blame for draining the 5 boroughs economy. New York City is not a city where you can remotely have employment, and that's feeding our really unemployment numbers. So the city's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate stood at 7% in February, down by 5.5% from February 2021, but still higher than its 3.4% rate in February 2020. And this is from the New York State Department of Labor Statistics, okay? All right, so Mayor Adams, I don't know where you've been, but I don't think that remote work is necessarily draining the 5 boroughs of New York City. How about high rents? That's number one. When you gotta pay high rent, that doesn't really leave money for much else. And I work in affordable housing, so I see people's pay stubs all the time. There are people making 6 figures that are applying for affordable housing. That's how expensive housing is in New York City. You know what I'm saying? People trying to get on that NYC, you know, in that NYC housing. And NYC housing isn't that cheap. Like, the market rate rent for those apartments are fairly expensive. So housing is expensive. So people probably don't have much more money for anything outside. You know, they penny pinching. Secondly, the cost of food has gone up. Like, last year, I was paying, well, before the pandemic, $80 a week for my groceries for myself and my son. Myself and my son went to the grocery store like 3 weeks ago. The same amount of groceries was $195. I looked at the cashier when she was like $195. I said, what? But again, I gotta eat. So now that my food bill is higher, that's less money for entertaining and eating out and doing other things. You get what I'm saying? Thirdly, high utilities. Utilities are higher. Fourth, gas is higher. That's number one. And I feel like maybe the gas is higher because these companies are trying to recoup lost money from when we weren't driving during the pandemic. Because there was a time where I could walk outside in March, April, and there was no cars on the road. Like, it was a ghost town. And I live in a major city, you know what I'm saying? So those are reasons that are draining the economy. Plus, there are rules for certain restaurants where you can't eat in if you don't have a Vax card. So people are not going into those establishments who are not vaccinated. You're alienating people who would spend money in these businesses because they don't have a Vax card. Does that make sense? Also, I want to add that, I really want to add that don't forget that during 2020, a lot of mom and pop shops were forced to close. They were forced to stay closed, like little, you know, mom and pops, you know, hardware shops, little stores. But guess who was allowed to stay open? Amazon, who pays no taxes, Walmarts all around the country, Targets, Home Depot, Lowe's, because I damn sure was doing a whole lot of DIY home projects. I painted my whole townhouse. I got a new washer and dryer. I got a new refrigerator during that period. And Jeff Bezos was able to become a billionaire during this time because his business was allowed to prosper, and a lot of small businesses they had to stay closed. And even like a month ago, I was going consignment, antique, and thrifting, and a lot of the shops that I like to go to in New Jersey, at the top of New Jersey, out of business, gone, because they couldn't survive through the pandemic. So you're saying that remote workers are draining the economy? No, look at the whole bigger picture. Like, Mayor Adams, homie, did you do your research? I gotta find out how old he is. Hold on. Okay, he might be a boomer. I had to look up his age. He has the really ancient old ideas. That's probably what is draining not just New York City's 5 boroughs, but everywhere around the country. So you can't just blame remote workers. Okay, I'm quoting. Number 1, we need people back to work. The financial ecosystem is crucial, he said. I need the accountant in the office so they can go to the local restaurant so that we can make sure that everyone is employed. So too many of our jobs are being, 1, we're recruiting people from outside the city. Number 2, we have too many New Yorkers who are not in the city and they are carrying out jobs remotely and it's draining our economy, he added. So we're doing a full push to get people back to work, get jobs back here in the city, train our young people so that they can be employed, so we can turn around these numbers. All right, so first of all, it's 2022. How we think about jobs and working and the 40-hour work week, there needs to be a, what's the word I'm looking for? There needs to be a new way of doing things. I feel like, Mayor Adams, your thought process of working is old. That's an old paradigm. We're shifting toward a new paradigm. It's 2022, we have technology. An accountant does not need to be in the office to get their job done. We have Zoom. If you need to contact your coworker, you get on the computer. That's why we got all this fancy technology. MacBooks, iPads, iPhones, Samsungs, or email. You can email your coworkers. You don't need to be in an office where you have to be in an office because you need to answer the landline phone when customers are calling or your coworkers are calling. There's so much technology where you can download an app which can reroute your office number to your cell phone number. Like, we have to think of new ways. We need to redefine, this is the word I'm trying to say. We need to redefine the 40-hour work week and working in 2022 and going forward. You don't need to be in office. I work a hybrid position. I go in office 2 days a week, which is like kind of pointless because I literally speak to my coworkers for like 30 minutes and the rest of the time I'm just in my own world getting my work done. The rest of the days of the week I work from home. I worked from 9 to 5 from my desk. And me being in my pajamas with my headscarf on did not stop me from doing my work. I still got my work done. I was still effective at home. I was not ineffective at home. I was effective at home. Okay? And I feel like people who don't, I have a nice home life, you know what I'm saying? I love it here. It's great. It's quiet. It's a lot of great energy here. So I'm not dying to leave my home. I don't have a husband and kids that are bothering me, that are making me want to leave, or just a toxic family system, or, you know, I don't get to go anywhere. So I'm just like, oh, the only way I can, you know, show my outfits off is at work. That's not me. So I think people who have a bad home life, you know, or who just want to be, you know, they don't have any friends or anything to do. The only way they speak to people is to be in the office. Now, I'm a loner. I'm an introvert to the 10th power. And so being at home is like a dream come true. Like, you mean to tell me I don't have to go into the office? I don't have to like fake smile and wave to people as I'm walking by? I want to be home then. So I just feel like we need to redefine what it is to work. You know, a 40-hour work week. He's thinking of an old paradigm, an old way of things, and going forward, since we have technology and things are changing, things are shifting, there's a new way. The accountant doesn't need to be in the office if she can effectively do what she needs to do from her laptop. If you're getting what you need to get out of this employee, she doesn't need to be in the office. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I also want to add, the people who were working remotely and decided to just move out of New York City and move to like some old little small town in Ohio, Vermont, like, how are you, like, I just feel like that was smart on their part. If I had a remote job, I would literally be in Florida somewhere. I would be somewhere much cheaper, saving money, trying to pay down my student loans. Like, people have other priorities. Why are you expecting people to stay in an expensive city if they don't need to? What's the point when you can go somewhere else and have a better quality of life, have cleaner air, you know, you can live in a bigger space. You don't have to be limited to a small New York City apartment. You know what I'm saying? Unless you live out in like Queens, you know, it's suburban. Some places in Brooklyn, there is houses and it looks nice. But other than that, like, people are being smart about their money, about how they're spending their money. And it's just like I said, your focus is capitalism. Why? These landlords got empty buildings. That's another thing that needs to be addressed, Mayor Adams. This high-ass rent. It's ridiculous. And a lot of these apartments are not even worth the price. I'm a realtor. I see these apartments all the time. And I'm like, you're trying to get what for whom? 1980s kitchen? Busted tiles on the floor? These landlords need to be ashamed of themselves. So we need to get a handle on this high cost of housing. After World War II, when soldiers were coming home from the war, they were going to major cities for housing. There was a shortage of housing. You know, there's a housing crisis. So these landlords was like, oh, bet it's not enough housing, but it's a lot of people. Oh, I'm about to hit a lick. And they decided, oh, we going to get crazy with the rent. And that's where rent control laws first came into effect. And I just feel like, as people, if you're watching this, and if you're a renter, we need to start getting together, maybe protesting. This is a great cause to go to your local city hall, protest the cost of rent. Like, there needs to be some changes. Like, and I feel like rent control and rent stabilized apartments, those are mostly for apartment buildings that were built like before, pre-war buildings, like before World War II. But like, something needs to happen. And I feel like as citizens, we need to be mad. We need to get, instead of complaining about it on social media, I see a plethora of videos of people complaining about it. Like, we need to figure out how to take some type of action against it. Now, some of these apartments are really nice. They might be a high rise in a real nice luxury building with a doorman. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, for the experience, you know, it might have like a gym or free breakfast. Those are gonna be expensive. I'm talking about these raggedy apartments. You know what I'm talking about? With rats and roaches, like I said, 1980s kitchen, beat up radiators that ding 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 when they come on. Some of these landlords be doing too much. And that is all I have to say about that. Also, too many of our jobs, when he's talking about people are recruiting outside of the city. Now, remote work is nothing new. People have been working remote for, especially if you work in tech, before the pandemic. Working remote is not a new thing. That has not been something that has just started when the pandemic has started. So, Mayor Eric, stop the shenanigans. Also, I used to be a property manager in Central Jersey. There's a huge pharmaceutical company down there. I won't say the name, but they always hired people to work from India. And people will come to my building that I was managing with their offer letters. They're making 6 figures, close to 6 figures, if not 6 figures. They're recruited to do tech work or IT work from India. So why don't this company just hire Americans? No, they outsource Indians because it's cheaper. To Indians, their salary is grand, but they know if they present that salary to an American, they would have to come out their pockets more. So what about companies that are hiring overseas, bringing people over here to do work that Americans can do? So to call out people who are not living in the state that are working remote, like, that makes no sense. And you want people to, you're saying so that they can go to the coffee shop. So I'm guessing like he's thinking like, okay, if people are in an office, then they'll have to go to the coffee. They'll be more apt to go to the coffee shops or the restaurants around their offices. You know what I'm saying? MTA will get a boost in revenue because people will be riding the subways again. People will be driving again. So, you know, tolls, the city will be collecting more money for tolls. He's thinking in a way of, it's capitalism. He wants to feed, he's not thinking about the people in the city. He's not thinking about the citizens. He's thinking about capitalism. the bottom line. If people have to work, then they might drive into the city. Now, the city, if you ever drive into New York City, you can get a ticket like that. You turn around, you got a ticket. It's $100 flat. And so he's thinking of ways to get money for the city, but it has nothing to do with the people. By telling workers you need to be in an office that are working remote and they might be in a different state, you're gonna eliminate their jobs now. Now they're gonna be out of work. Like, I just don't get it. I didn't wear any earrings. I feel naked. Anywho, disregard. Also, verbatim, one thing that can't happen, you can't stay at home in your pajamas all day, he said at the time. That is not who we are as a city. You need to be out, cross-pollinating ideas, interacting with humans. It is crucial. We're social creatures and we must socialize to get the energy we need as a city. He is 58 years old. That's why I said I had to check his age to see what age group he is, because that sounds like you know how like when you were a kid in high school and you would sleep in late on the weekends and then your parents would just wake you up for no reason. Oh, why are you sleeping all day? Or if it's the summertime you want to sleep in, they just wake you up because they just feel like you shouldn't be sleeping in all day. This is what this sounds like. You can't tell me that I can't sit around in my pajamas and be effective. I don't. You need to be, how are you telling adults and people who are working and paying taxes what they need to be doing? You can't tell people what they need to be doing. The whole point is to do a job. You are hired for a role to do a job. As long as it's effective, that's all that matters. Because I can go into an office and not talk to a soul. I go into the office twice a week and half of the time I don't talk to anybody. There's no need for me to talk to anybody. Whatever I need done is through email. It's 2022. You got to get with the times. Things are changing. It's 2022, and also the way that we shop is totally different. And so, whereas before the internet was a big thing, and say for instance your mom took you shopping, she might have taken you to the local mall or to the local main street or avenue in your neighborhood, and you would basically have to settle for whatever is in your surrounding area. Now, if you don't like what the store has in your area, you can literally pick up your computer, go online, and order wherever you want from any place in the world. I just went online the other day and ordered something, and Mr. Bezos' employees brought it straight to my door in no time. And so how we shop is totally different. So our money is not just staying in the city, immediate city that we live in anymore, because we have the opportunity to be able to just go online and get what we want from anywhere in the world. It's to the point where some black women, I know some black women who will fly to ATO to get their hair done. They're not going to local hair salons in their area. So saying that remote work is killing the economy, that's not true. So, him pushing people to get back to work when I feel like people working remote, and I feel like the hybrid positions we have now, it's working. Mayor Adams, I just feel like he's stuck in a different time period. He's not in an income bracket where he is struggling to make ends meet. And usually when you are not the one that's experiencing hardships or, you know, being one paycheck away from being homeless, you don't think about the collective, the whole group, everybody else, and what everybody else may be going through. Even though you might be hearing about it, if you can't relate, you don't really care. It doesn't affect you. So you get what I'm saying? And so I just feel like this whole push for remote workers to go back to work, just leave it. If the companies are fine, if the companies are thriving, if companies are doing well, just let companies do what they do. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like going forward, when it's time to vote for people for presidency, mayor, councilman, all that stuff, like, we literally have to vote the right people in. We literally gotta start paying attention to politics, because the people who are getting into office don't relate to working class people, and therefore they're not gonna help the working class people because they don't relate to them. They're just gonna, they check it up to, oh, you're lazy, you're sitting around in your pajamas, you don't want to get up. Mayor Adams, shut up, be quiet, leave things alone. And that is all. So thank you for coming to Kenya's TED Talk, and I will see you in my next YouTube video. Toodles.
I was in the gun to. I'm the uptown king, nigga, you know what's up or don't you? Word of the major, I'm a rude bitch, nigga, what are you made up of? I'ma eat your food up, boo, I could bust your knee, I'ma do one too, fuck it, gun do. When you do make fuck